guess who's back? Yes, I am still alive and I am still extremely busy with work and other things. But in the past few months, I've actually been working on restoring my work-life balance. So even though I've not really been active on any online platforms, I've been playing The Sims a lot. And I've really regained some of that old passion for it. It's really funny with my brain because it can only really be fixated on one thing at a time, and that thing for the past 2 years has almost always been work. So whenever in the past 2 years people would message me and be like, hey, I saw your tutorial but it's no longer up, but I've been wondering if you could help me fix this and that in my Sims 2. I read it and I was like, I would, but I literally don't remember. All the technical things I once knew about this game, like it has all been replaced with something else, and that sucks, you know? So I've been trying to get back into the flow of things. It's not easy. I probably missed like 100 new mods. Haven't watched anybody's YouTube videos in ages. But I have been getting into playing, which is step number 1. And today I want to show you what I've been playing with. So this project started over 3 years ago, which I know sounds insane. It does to me too. So when I started this, I really thought that the thing I wanted most in my game is to create a world with all pre-made Sims in it. To be able to play all pre-made households on the same timeline, in the same universe, existing next to each other and having their lives intertwined. Because up to that point, I hadn't played most pre-made neighborhoods, even though I was really interested in their lore, in the potential that they have, their potential stories and futures and scenarios to play out. And it just really bothered me that I'd never tried that before. I used to play Pleasant View and Strange Town mostly in the past. I had this one Pleasant View that was my oldest neighborhood that I used to play rotationally. That had a lot of fun things going on, and I was really attached to some of the characters, but it was also really inconsistent. It was old. I began it when I was 15, and some of the decisions I'd made were just not it. And also the fact that I didn't know how to properly play rotationally really messed with like a lot of the timelines, the ages of Sims. It all got out of sync. It was chaotic, it was a mess, and I wanted to start anew, both with Pleasant View and with Strange Town and with all the other neighborhoods as well. So I did what a lot of other Sims 2 players do, which is put all of the pre-made neighborhoods together in one Uberhood with the help of mods and versions of the pre-made neighborhoods that had been turned into shopping districts that you can add to your main neighborhood, all done by players. If you're looking for a step-by-step guide on how to do that, if you want to do that yourself, there are 100 probably on YouTube, other places on the internet as well. So my goal was to play all pre-made main neighborhoods, all 6 of them: Pleasant View, Strange Town, Veronaville, River Blossom Hills, the Sidorota Valley and Belodonakov, as well as the shopping district of Bluewater Village, and the 3 university neighborhoods, Académie Latour, La Fiesta Tech and Sim State University, including all the pre-made households that already have residential lots that they live in, as well as the households known as bin families who had not previously been added to any residential lots, but definitely are made with the intention to be played. For example, the Automases or the Nuisance. And yes, there are also some pre-made townies in it, some pre-made NPCs, some of them just generated with the neighborhoods in the first place. Some I have added in retrospect. Now, just for the sake of being complete, I also added the vacation destinations, but they have no pre-made playable Sims. And I also do not really send my Sims on vacations, so they don't currently serve a lot of purpose, but they are there. And I also added downtown, but not the plain Maxis downtown that we know. This is Katati's makeover of the Maxis downtown. I can only recommend. It is gorgeous. The lots have been made over, the decoration around the neighborhood has been upgraded by loads. The one problem I have with it is I think my computer isn't really on board with all the decoration going on, and it is mostly in this downtown that Pink Soup comes to attack, as you can see by this permanently pink souped apartment building. I don't know what happened there. It probably just got pink flashing one day and it just stayed like that forever. I don't know how to get it unstuck. Let me know if you do. Now, as we know, there aren't any pre-made playable families in downtown, except for the vampire family that's already dead, and I didn't really want to dabble in that Sims. You were able to see playable families in my downtown. Well, that's because I've moved some in. So the main neighborhood that I added the other neighborhoods as shopping districts to is Belodonakov, because Belodonakov has apartment residents, and I think Belodonakov was only available as a shopping district with all the apartment residents moved to the bin, and I would have had to move them back in, furnish their place, etc. The logical decision for me was to make Belodonakov the main hood, so I didn't have to deal with moving anybody back in again. So I just added all the other 6 neighborhoods as shopping districts and the 3 colleges and downtown and vacation destinations. All the families in the bin I have found places for, moved them in, and I got ready to play like around 80-90 households on rotation. And I decided to call this my Ultimatehood because for me it really does not get any better. This is the ultimate setup. I feel like this is how I was meant to play this game. So this is the project that I started 3 years ago. Of course, there had been months when I didn't touch the game at all, so there was no progress. I feel like I am progressing really slowly with this neighborhood. I am only on my 3rd round of all households. I don't know how you show 3. This is how I've been showing 3 all my life. So yeah, 3 years, 3 rotations. This is a long time commitment. I knew this going in, and I am fully enjoying it still. Now, you may have noticed this video isn't long enough for me to talk about all the families, all the storylines, everything that went down. I'm not going to go into detail in this video about those things. Perhaps I will make separate videos to talk about stories and households and Sims and that. But this video is just to show you the general idea of how I'm managing all this and why I've done this and that sort of thing. So let me show you the backbone of this Ultimatehood. And that is, of course, the spreadsheet. Or rather, the spreadsheets, because there are actually multiple of them. The one I'm looking at is the public spreadsheet. Yes, you can actually open this, and it contains all the currently playable Sims data, all the data that I felt was necessary to keep about the Sim, from age to aspiration, jobs, degrees, partners, traits, personalities, recorded full names, and birth years and ages in numbers that I've assigned to them, or rather calculated or decided in some cases. It was a lot of work getting the Ultimatehood ready to play. Obviously, Sims 2 Sims weren't really created with the idea of having a real numerical age in mind, but I myself found this something that was necessary for my gameplay because I like being realistic. Also, I love numbers, I love exact things, so this was just something that I wanted to do. I of course put all Sims on a custom lifespan, one that I think uses Marticles as base, but I messed with the numbers and I made it so that 1 sim day equals half a year in the game. So 2 in-game days make up 1 year. I've done this because even though this does make the progress much slower, it also gives me more time to spend with individual Sims, which was something I wanted because when you have 80 plus households and you go rotationally, so you only play one household once in one rotation, of course, you necessarily don't get to spend so much time with even your favorite Sims. You spend the same amount of time with all Sims, and sometimes that doesn't feel like enough. Sometimes you really like playing with a Sim and want to play with them for longer and want to make more memories with them. Even if it's not like big life-changing things, maybe it's like smaller, more mundane moments. And I really wanted to hold on to those things. God, I'm talking about Sims like I'm talking about my children or my pets or my friends. No, obviously these are just pixel people, but they are my pixel people and I really am attached to them. That's the truth. So to sum up the time and aging system, aging I've tried to make as realistic as possible, with the life stages being tuned to ages in numbers as closely as I could. 2 in-game days make up 1 year. That also means I've had pregnancy adjusted to 1.5 sim days, so it makes 9 months in real life. Because the custom lifespan this way stretches out all of time, I also decided to use a mod that slows down the pace at which skills are being gained. The skill gain mod is not in use when I'm playing University though, because I'm playing University with the mod that shortens it, and so normally Sims would not have enough time to gain the skills necessary to pass their classes and graduate. So whenever I play University, I actually swap the folders in my download folder. But University does take 4 years, 8 days. I promise you, I've calculated this, it makes sense. Now, you might be surprised to hear, after all of this, that my rotations don't have a preset number of days. I always, like in every single rotation, I just decide beforehand how many days I want to play that rotation with every single household. So obviously I play the same number of days with all households in a single rotation, but the rotations don't have the same number of days. I've just been trying to experiment with how it feels to play for a different number of days. If I remember correctly, all 3 rounds so far had different number of days. My 3rd round is 3 years, so 6 days. I think my 2nd one was 4 days, so 2 years. And the first one I think might have been longer. I think the first one was 4 years, 8 days, something like that. That difference doesn't really bother me because in the end, after the end of each round, all Sims ages are going to be synced up, and that's the only thing that matters to me. It's more of a question of how long it takes to have all Sims ages be synced up again, and that's why I don't want to play really long rotations. So that's why I found 4 years to be a bit too long in the first rotation, and then I switched to 2 years, and then I thought that was too short, so now it's 3 years. But we'll see how many I'll want to play in the next round. But the next round is still some time away because I am currently quite at the start of round 3. No, I wouldn't say start. I would say like a third of the way in. Probably. Now, one more time related thing I haven't mentioned yet is seasons. I really love the existence of seasons, and I really love seasons-based activities. I love events, I love celebrations, holidays, but they obviously don't make life much easier in a rotation where you have to play through 80 households. And I didn't want one rotation to have a single season because, my god, to have to play 80, 90 households all within the same one season, it's both boring and unrealistic. So I came up with a system that is half a system and half just me allowing myself to manage things however I feel like. I just changed the season in all neighborhoods. Once I have played a set number of households, I decide how many households that's going to mean in a single rotation at the start of the rotation. So let's say if I had 96 households and I was going to play for 3 years, 6 days, I would have to go through those 12 seasons. And so if you divide 96 by 12, you get 8. And so every 8 households played, I change the season everywhere. Yes, that does still mean that households only get to play one season in one round, but at least not all households in one round get to play through the same season, so it doesn't get that boring. And I actually make notes of what the season was when I last played a household, so that in the next round, I know what season this household has already played, and I try not to play them during the same season. Oh yeah, one more thing. Despite the rules of rotational gameplay, I don't play the households in a preset order. I don't even play the neighborhoods in a preset order. Basically, I just decide which household I want to play and I play it because this is my game and this is how I find it fun. So that is my priority. And still, it's not as much freedom as you'd think. Wait, let me show you where I track my households. Right, this is where I track rotations. This has names of households, some notes, how many days I've already played, what seasons I've already played with a certain household, and some info about businesses that the household has. This is not public, this is private for me, and so are all the others that you can see down here. All of them serve purposes, but I'll get back to that in a moment. So sometimes the order is not entirely up to me because once I decide to play a certain household, maybe some Sims who are connected to that household in one way or another, but are in different households, need to be played after that, right after that. Or like right before I want to play a certain household, I have to play another because the aging, the moving plans are connected, or maybe all Sims in different households are part of the same story that I want to play out. So it gets complicated. Now, while we're on the subject of me doing pretty much what I want and not really adhering to the rules, I want to talk about what drives me to make decisions in the Sims' lives. So obviously, alongside rotational gameplay, once-based gameplay is also a fan favorite and one that kind of goes hand in hand with rotational gameplay and systematic gameplay. And it is a style of playing that I do find good and fun and like dabbling in. However, when I started playing Ultimatehood, one of the goals I had in mind for these Sims was to play them as canonically as possible, to look at their backstories and to make the most out of their potential. And also, this might sound stupid, but this also meant having to follow storylines that weren't entirely decided by me, but have kind of been established as canon in the fan base or the player base. There have been a couple that I just really resonated with and wanted to make happen in my game. So in order to be able to do that and to also follow my own headcanons, sometimes I have to make decisions in the game that don't really seem to be consistent with the Sims' current wants or fears, or even their current lifetime want or aspiration. So yeah, at times I find myself just completely ignoring a Sim's wants if I have something else in mind. But also other times, when I have a Sim I don't really know what to do with, I do like following their own wants and kind of randomized wishes. There are also other aspects of randomization that I use that help me determine what to do with a certain Sim. Now, as you might have seen in my spreadsheet, I have loads of other things that I keep track of and calculate and randomize. In all aspects, I try to keep a healthy balance of the things I want for a certain Sim and the things that their personality indicates, for example. I feel like if I only followed Sims' wants about their careers, about their partners, about their hobbies, then I get loads of Sims who would pretty much be the same. You can't really have that when you have 300 Sims in a single neighborhood. I really don't want it to get repetitive, and I'm glad to say that I think I've managed to avoid getting repetitive so far pretty well. So even if, for example, two Sims choose the same career at the same time, I come up with ideas to have them, for example, work in different companies. Obviously, this is not something that I can really make happen through the game's mechanics. This is something I have to kind of imagine myself. I have to add this to my spreadsheets and I have to just have it exist in my imaginary little world. But sometimes, that's enough. At the end of the day, for me, The Sims is pretty much a storytelling tool. And this kind of dictates my whole mentality going into playing the game. I am the storyteller and I'm also the number one person who has to like the story. So I get to decide what happens with the help of a lot of in-game mechanics as well as things outside the game. Let me show you some of what I mean. So for example, I have downloaded the aspiration calculator, implemented it in my own spreadsheets. I think it was originally just for primary aspiration and it was based on interests. And then I started making my own different versions of it for secondary aspirations, also taking into account what the Sims primary aspiration is, and also putting some personality points in the equation as well. I also seem to have made a version that takes signs into account. That's amazing. I literally do not remember because I've made this 3 years ago. I've forgotten most of it, really. And it's been a while since I've used one of these, really. Also, there is a non-calculator here that is just like a table. I do not know where I got this from, but I guess I have it so that I can turn to it if I just like very quickly want to get an idea and don't really want to calculate much. It happens. I also have the same for hobbies, which I'm not sure if I downloaded or if I created myself. I have a memory of creating one of these myself. So it might have been this one. Oh yeah, I think this was created by me because I separated film and literature and music and dance because I needed more variety for my Sims. This also takes interests and personality points into account. It is currently filled with somebody's data. Whoever this Sim is, literature ended up being their number one hobby. Now, I also play with converted Sims 3 traits. This is a set of mods that you can get, but the basis of it is having the converted Sims 3 traits as inventory items that you can put in your Sims inventories to add that trait to the Sim. Was this something I actually needed in my game? I'm not sure, but it sounded fun. So I added it back in the day, and then I went around assigning traits to all Sims. It was a lot of work. I also made this randomizer thing, not really a randomizer, but something to help me with the picking of traits. Toddlers and children weren't supposed to get all sorts of traits, so I colored the ones that were accurate for toddlers and children, and I made this complicated system for assigning traits to Sims in different stages of their life. But I don't really use this complicated version anymore. It's just here. Basically, I pick whatever I like for a Sim, and I also do some randomizing if I still need more traits. That's what these ones are supposed to be, but they're obviously really clumsy. Also, there's this other number. This randomizes favorite colors because I also have the mod that adds favorite colors to Sims. Is this necessary? Once again, probably not, but I have fun with it. Also, let me show you this tab. This is for names. If you know me, you know that I am obsessed with naming Sims. Naming anything, basically, but obviously I get to live this desire in The Sims. In this table, I count how many Sims in the game already have a name starting with a certain letter, because I do not want too many Sims to have the same first letter in their name, because I want variety. This column is for all Sims in the Ultimatehood, and this one is for the Sims who have been born since I started playing. I haven't added a new Sim to this in a long time, because for a long time I haven't had any new babies. I really do consider a lot of things when naming a new baby, not just the first letter, but also family history, names of their siblings, names of their parents. For example, perhaps it's not too much of a spoiler to tell you that the Gavigan family had another son, and I named him Noah, which is a biblical name, just like Isaiah. Now, I talked about different workplaces previously, and I have a spreadsheet of this. It's private, you can't look at it, but I do plan on making this public at one point once I get it together and it won't be such a mess. But part of the immersion for me is imagining where these Sims work. Some of them own businesses that I directly play with, so there I don't have to imagine, but in some other cases I do have to. For example, all Sims who work in business, the business career track, they don't work at the same company, and they also don't work all in different companies. I have a couple of big companies in my game who employ these Sims. For example, the company that I imagine Armand de Bateau running is called MSIM, and it's a really popular employer among Sims who want to carry in business. But there's also, for example, the Cap family insurance company, where most of the Caps work already, and they also employ some other Sims who aren't Caps. I also imagine Sims who work in the culinary career to work at different restaurants, but ones that do exist in the game. For example, Speedy's Fastlane's Bowling and Eats and Red's famous 50s Diner, but also ones that I actually run, for example, the Monty family restaurant. This is just an extra layer of immersion for me. Also, did I show you the maps? Oh my god, where are the maps? I have to show you the maps. There we go. So I made this myself. I really wanted a map that shows how the neighborhoods are connected, because I did not mention this before, but all the neighborhoods, they're part of greater area SimCity metropolitan area, if you will. Because as you know, The Sims 2 treats all Sims, regardless of neighborhood, as living in SimCity. I guess connecting this SimCity with like other games versions of SimCity would have been a bit too complicated, but I had this idea to at least take all the Sims 2 neighborhoods and put them all in one SimCity physically. And so I took the aerial views of the neighborhoods and then I just put them all next to each other and matched them up and created a map. This is it. This is how I imagine it. So obviously blue is water, the dark green are mountains, and the brown is desert. The desert has Strangetown and Laphista Tech. Close to Laphista Tech are the other university subhoods. So I think this one is SSU, Sim State University, and this one's ALT, Académie Latour. And Académie Latour is connected to Veronaville, and Veronaville is connected to River Blossom Hills, and that one shares the bay with Pleasant View and the Siddhartha Valley, I believe. And then there's Belladonna Cove, which is kind of like an uptown area, and then next to that downtown, and then we also have Blue Water Village. And this is all one big metropolitan area, regardless of how the climate is seemingly different in them. This is what I've been able to do to make sense of it in my head. In my head, these all are districts of SimCity. This is important for me because I am planning on doing elections in SimCity, not just for the mayor of SimCity, but also different representatives in different districts. This is going to be an interesting thing to play out, and I don't really know yet what the end result of that is going to be, but I'm excited about it. Also, I needed all of them to be in the same city so that the commuting between districts can be explained, and like how they all seemingly go to the same schools and work in the same places and meet each other. You know, even Sims from Strangetown, they have access to Sims in River Blossom Hills, because it's all one big city and traveling between districts is simple. Oh yeah, there's also this kind of whimsical one depicting different neighborhoods with different icons. I just made this for fun, really. Also, I forgot to mention, I keep all these Sims in a huge ass family tree on the Family Echo. This also includes the ancestors who are dead when you start playing the game. This family tree currently has 747 people in it, and you can get from any Sim to any other Sim by just clicking through the tree, because everybody's connected. I wish there was a way to show you like the whole thing, just like a single family tree that has everybody in it. This one's nicer. Contains spoilers. Also, did I mention I take a lot of screenshots of my gameplay and I upload them to my Tumblr with little bits of conversations, sometimes longer stories. This is one of my favorite things to do, actually. So if you'd like to read some of these stories, or like just are looking for one more Sim-blur to follow, then feel free to check it out on my Tumblr. This is originally why I made the spreadsheet public, so that anybody who wanted to take a deeper look at my Sims and what's going on with them could dive into it. At the beginning, my screenshots were really shitty because I didn't start playing with the thought of sharing it with other people, but then I realized I really liked doing this. So yeah, feel free to take a look at that if you want to. And yeah, now that I've shared this little bit of insight into how I manage playing my huge Uberhood, I actually really got in the mood to make separate videos about the things that have happened in the 8 years that have gone down in this Uberhood so far. In-game years, that is. So look out for that if that's something you're into. If I can find the time for it, I'd really love to do it. Of course, if you're curious and don't want to wait until my next video, you can check out the public spreadsheet or check out my stories on Tumblr. If you have any questions, feel free to drop them in the comments. I am very much looking forward to sharing more. So thank you guys for watching. I will wrap this up for today. Hopefully you won't have to wait another year for the next video. Oh, I literally forgot to say thank you for 8,000 subscribers. That's incredible. Thank you guys so much for still being here on this channel despite it showing little to no activity. I am very grateful and I hope to be more active in the future. Thank you so much for sticking this out with me. I hope you're all playing The Sims 2 and having fun, or whichever Sims game you like to play. If you're here, I kind of just assume you like playing The Sims 2. Well, I wish you all the best. Bye bye.